Okay, so in this latest episode of Course Reviews, I'm going to be talking about some of the various sources for beauty therapy type courses. Now, there are a huge number of sites where you can do these kinds of courses, and I've lumped them all together simply because they are actually the same. And by that what I mean is they have all copied and pasted either from each other or from the same original source, I don't know. But yes, I don't just mean they've copied, I mean they have literally copied and pasted, and I know this because what's rather amusing is they've all duplicated the same spelling errors across the site. My particular favourite being in the health and safety section, where they all warn you that when you're wearing gloves, your nails must not be too long in order not to piece the gloves. And you can see a nice example of that here. So yes, word of advice to anyone when doing writing, if you're going to just copy and paste from somebody else, it's a good idea to proofread it first. So the sites we're looking at here, obviously we've got a few of them. We've got here one that's called the Online Beauty Courses. Now that is a huge repository of various courses. What you then have is a lot of what seem like more independent ones. As you see, they've usually got people's names. Nikki's Beauty School, Cassandra's Beauty School, etc. These are some of these ones. Now, as I say, there is no difference between them because they have all copied and pasted from the same place. I wouldn't like to say who actually wrote this, but so to take a look at some of these, as you can see, they all have differing prices, but there's a lot of special offers on them. And again, as with all of these, if you sign up to their email mailing list, you will get sent lots of offers, so you can get these quite reasonably priced. But there are a lot of caveats to say about courses like this. Now, the first thing to say, obviously, is you do need to do some research about these. Now, a lot of these beauty schools will give you courses for things that you can reasonably learn online. You know, things like doing eyelash extensions, eyebrow tinting, definition brows, those kinds of things. Depending on how you prefer to learn, you know, an in-person course, to be honest, isn't going to make much difference. Generally, even when you do courses, they're actually done over a weekend, maybe even a day, so it's not like they're that in-depth, even if you do them in person for subjects like that. So, to be honest, yeah, you can learn by watching a video, and then you can get, so often you'll get course kits, or from various course providers, they will provide you with kits, or you can buy them. Go on Prospera Beauty Supplies as well, you can buy course kits on there, and you can then practice. You can practice on your friends, because that's what you'd be doing in an in-person course anyway. You bring your friends on as models usually. So for certain things, if you're prepared to sort of do a bit of practicing at home carefully, then fine, you can, now if you're going to actually, obviously, you want people to pay you for doing this, you're going to need insurance, and you need to check with insurance providers whether that an online course will qualify you for insurance or not. Some say it does, some say it doesn't. So that's something you'd need to research. But the other important thing to bear in mind is when you look at a lot of these beauty course providers, they also do an awful lot of courses, well, not all of them, but many of them do courses in things that are just silly. So by that I mean things like microblading, and what else? You've got dermaplaning, these sort of, and these bizarre sort of vampire facials and things like that. Anyway, things that involve sticking needles into people. Now, you cannot qualify to do that through watching an online tutorial. It doesn't work like that. And I've actually seen some of them offering things like, you know, oh, qualify to do Botox and things like that. Well, that is absurd. There are enough people illegally practicing that already. We really don't want any more. So, yeah, just avoid courses like that. Now there are, having said that, there is some. I mean, for example, the online beauty courses one, which I have to say is the best of those, as I will come on to in a moment. Now they do a course. For example, they do a course in microblading, where you do the sort of the theory part online. They then send you. I mean, you get this stuff. It's like practice skin that you practice on. It's a bit bizarre. There's a video exam that they do, so it's sort of like done over Zoom. If you doing it, I believe there's like video one-to-one lessons as well before that, and there's you then do case studies as well, which you send. And anyway, I haven't looked into this in great detail because it's not something I particularly wanted to do myself. However, it did look as if that might be reasonable. But as I say, don't quote me on that. You'd have to look into it. But I mean, I could certainly see how, yeah, in the modern day and age, perhaps rather than doing an in-person exam, in a sense, you're doing it over a video call. You are doing it in person, but you're just doing it over a video call. And if you did have some, yeah, as I say, one-to-one session with over a video link, that might be equivalent to attending a class, perhaps. I don't know. But some of them appear to suggest that, yes, you can sort of read a few pages on a website and now you're qualified to do Botox. I mean, what? That is absolutely absurd. And really quite immoral that they claim that you can. Sometimes there's a little bit of small print saying, well, of course, this doesn't actually qualify you to do anything at all, because you'd need to have this other qualification that costs thousands of pounds, but don't tell anybody. But, you know, that's not the point. So, yeah, watch out for those, and just be sensible. Eyelash extensions, you know, maybe you can do. I mean, I'm going to say, you've got to be careful doing that. You can damage somebody's eye if you drip glue in it, but, you know, you can see how you can, okay, you could qualify for that, but not doing Botox. No. So yes, that is my first kind of overall thing. Do look at the sorts of courses that the site is offering, and just use some common sense. Is this something that you could actually qualify for? Just over the medium of sort of online courses, and bearing in mind the overall quality of the courses. Now, yeah. So to come on to more the individual ones. As I say, even with across the board, although they have copied and pasted exactly the same material, the quality of it still vastly differs. So the only one of these I would recommend looking at if you are interested in doing some beauty courses is the online beauty courses one. The courses on there are quite cheap if you get them when they're on sale. But yeah, as I say, except for things like, as I say, they do the microblading and things like that, which you could look into. They are sort of £500-600, but that you would expect that. The fact that they are much more expensive does suggest that they might be sort of a bit better quality sort of thing. You know, they might be a bit more in depth, but I don't know. But certainly for things like, you know, as I say, what you might call simple things, just sort of, you know, eyelash tinting, henna brows, those kinds of things. The courses are quite decent. So for those, yeah, it's pages and pages of just the sort of very basic theory. What is a bit annoying is they all start off with exactly the same thing. It's general safety stuff, and it's all identical. So it's like basic first aid stuff, and it's super basic, believe me. And as I say, does contain typing errors, which are amusingly copied across everybody else's site. That piecing the gloves is just great. But yes, what is a bit irritating is that if you do another one of the courses, you've got to read through exactly, click through this. Yes, I've read it. Yes, I've read it. It's exactly the same every time, all the initial module. So about half of the course is just a repeat of every other course. But yeah, once you get onto the actual part, there'll be a bit of reading about, trolley setup, stuff like that. Super basic. But then it does include videos, demonstration videos of everything, and that's basically it. It doesn't go into a huge amount of detail, so yeah, don't expect to get a lot from it, but there's enough there that you can then, as I say, if you go and get a kit and you go away and practice on your own, you can sort of work it out. Now, having said that, obviously, as I say, it doesn't include case studies. There is an option, I believe, that you can, I think you have to pay extra. I think you can do case studies and send them in if you wanted to. But I'm not sure you get any sort of extra accreditation for this. So it's a bit odd. Some insurance companies would accept this, just the certificate. Others won't, because they say, well, you haven't done case studies. Even though, once you've got the hang of it, you can get some friends around, you could do them, couldn't you? I mean, but because they haven't been externally marked and everything, so it doesn't count. So yeah, kind of up to you. You need to, as I say, do a bit of research into that. Regarding some of the other ones, so I've done, let's say, some of the ones on the Nikki's Beauty School, whatever it's called. They are just odd. As I say, copied and pasted from the same source, so full of typographical errors and generally poor grammar. The thing about that is that sometimes they seem to have just been copied and pasted without regard to the actual title of the course. So, for example, the one that was on, let me see, it was eyelash and eyebrow tinting. I think that was how they did, because they split it up different ways and different things. I think that was that one. And in fact, it was entirely on, I'm trying to remember now, what was it on? It was either entirely on eyelash tinting or entirely on eyebrow. I think it was eyebrow tinting. And I just didn't actually come into the course at all, despite being in the course title. I sort of forgot. But in fact, that was one page, anyway. Or was it Lash Lift and Tint, and it was only about the one or the other. It was something, I'd have to check exactly. But the point is that the course content just didn't fit the title. It was only one page on that anyway. The rest of it was totally irrelevant material. I mean, the makeup one wasn't too bad. Which other one did I do? Because you get this bundle of 3, so to test them out I did. Oh yeah, the facials one. Yeah, I mean, it was alright, but total lack of videos. It's all just reading on the website, and then you get to the end. They did actually do sort of case studies in that, yeah, send some photos in of what you've done. So they sort of claim, oh, well, includes case studies, and well, yeah, kind of. But I mean, you'd have to go, I mean, certainly for the last one, you'd have to go and study it yourself somewhere else, which I did, in order to be able to do them, since the information wasn't in the course. The Cassandra's one, again, that was totally unhelpful. Again, copied and pasted from the same thing, with the same typographical errors. For that, the courses are not on the website. When you sign up for them, you get emailed what basically amounts to a Word document with not a lot in it. Nothing particularly relevant to the title of the course, anyway. So I did a couple. So the aromatherapy one, you just, it was just a little bit of information in a Word document, and then you answer some questions on it. That was easy enough. The ear piercing one was just weird, because it contained no information about anything, really. And then expect you to go off and do some case studies. Oh, well, okay, that's great. You haven't actually told me how, but never mind. So yeah, again, I would definitely recommend, so you will get all the same courses, and when I say they're the same courses, I mean they are literally the same. They are copied and pasted from the same source, but they don't all contain all the same information. Some of them, they've only copied and pasted part of it, you know? So I would definitely recommend, if you're going to do any of these courses, look at the online beauty courses site, because that seems to be the fullest one in terms of content, if you see what I mean. That seems to have all of the text, which is also contained in other ones, because I've looked at them just out of comparison, like, oh yeah, you look at the same course, it's exactly the same, but doesn't necessarily have all of the text in it on the other sites. Now on the online beauty courses, I don't know if that was the original source of them or what. I mean, they may have copied and pasted it from somewhere as well, but yeah, that does seem to be the best of them. But as I say, bear in mind, even with those, yes, they contain videos and things, so they're better, but they do still lack case studies and everything, so they may not qualify you for insurance. So just be aware of that. Obviously with, you know, COVID and everything, it's been difficult to do in-person courses. There are quite a lot of sites where you can look up information about in-person courses, so they may be a better option, but obviously they're not always practical for everybody. So yeah, as I say, it's just something you need to research, look into insurance companies and so on if you are wanting to actually practice, because there's no point doing these courses if you then find they don't qualify you for insurance. But yes, with a lot of beauty things, I've briefly touched on this before, but a lot of beauty things, yes, there are dozens and dozens of online courses you can do them, but for a lot of them you do need that case study element, so be aware if the course doesn't contain a case study, it may not be worth the paper it's printed on. Unless you're just doing it for the fun of it, which is a perfectly valid reason for doing it, in which case you're probably alright. Just try and find one that actually has video demonstrations, because just reading about it isn't going to help very much. So yes, in conclusion, I would definitely say avoid all these various sort of independent sites. I know that sounds like an awful thing to say, because I generally say obviously support you know, your independent businesses and all that, but they're just not very good quality. Somewhere like the online beauty courses is a more sort of, always seems like a more central repository of things. I don't know what, that's just sort of the impression you get. That is not a bad source of them. As I say, if you do want to do some, but do research insurance companies if you're going to do that. So yes, it's just a short review video this week, and I shall see you next week for another one. But until then, happy studies.